What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central. In today's episode, we'll be talking about that amazing game winner again from DeMar DeRozan. We'll also be breaking down the game against the Wizards, talking about the Bulls' upcoming week, going to the mailbag, and also we'll be just breaking down some things with this Bulls team. We're gonna get into it all and more right after this. All right, so we got to start with this, right? We have to absolutely start with this. DeMar DeRozan did it again. First of all, the Bulls did not play very well against the Wizards. This was not a good game by any stretch of the imagination, right? But it was a good win in the sense that this Bulls team was able to pull it together and pull it out. Again, the Bulls giving up 72 points in the paint, not playing great defense, very sloppy on turnovers, especially in the first half. They did get it together in the second half, but the Bulls did everything to lose this game in several ways. In the first half of this game, we only had four players who scored at all in the first half of the game. That was Nikola Vucevic, Coby White, Zach LaVine, and DeMar DeRozan. They were the only four players to put points on the board. Today, only 6 points from our bench overall in this game as a whole. That's just not going to cut it. Now, again, we know that the Bulls played 5 games in 7 nights and what that means to the Bulls. But overall, it was just it was not a great game from our Chicago Bulls, but at the end of the day, the Bulls were able to get that lead down, right? They were able to get that lead down, get in striking distance, and as we can see, if you give this team the ability to get in striking distance at the end of the game, they're going to try to find a way to pull it out. And that was DeMar DeRozan tonight, just giving us everything great. Like that shot, first player in NBA history to hit buzzer beaters in back-to-back nights, not back-to-back games, but back-to-back nights. That may never be done again. We seriously may never see that done again. It's amazing. It was amazing to see, and such a good thing for a player who's been criticized so much for things that were out of his control, some that was in his control. But it's good to have DeMar DeRozan in a Bulls uniform and to see this and to have this team and have these 2 games coming into the new year back-to-back that we had on DeMar DeRozan's buzzer beaters. It was a great way to end the year, and then we started the new year the same way we ended, on a DeMar DeRozan buzzer beater 3. Amazing, beautiful shot. Shouts out to DeMar, the God DeRozan, because he deserves all of this, and it's good to see a player do these type of things. It's great to see him do these type of things. So, and you know, one thing that I do want to go into this with, and talk about is for those that are making the knee-jerk reactions, and of course we're known, and especially because we have a day off, the conversations would be so much about the Bulls should have kept Daniel Gafford. Listen, Daniel Gafford was never going to get that contract on this team, and if we kept Daniel Gafford, we wouldn't have, even if we did give him that contract, you're looking at then not having DeMar DeRozan or Lonzo Ball. Everything happens for a reason, so I'm not going to stick on that point very much, but I do want to talk about this narrative, and I didn't address it in my last video because it was really silly to me, after DeMar's game winner in Pacers, and people looked at Zach LaVine's reaction, and then they tried to, this whole narrative spun out about Zach being up. Listen, none of that was true. One of the biggest things and biggest storylines of this team has been no egos. We've heard that talking. And Zach LaVine, after the game tonight, or last night, I should say, saying, hey, I thank God we got DeMar DeRozan on our team. Listen, there's no egos on this team. There's no beef or any desire to being upset that Zach LaVine didn't get all that shit. Got to stop. Y'all got to stop gossiping as grown ass men, man. Y'all got to grow up from that. That's my opinion. I'm sticking on that. If you feel some type of way about it, I don't give a fuck. So that's what I had to say on that. As far as the week that the Bulls just went through, we had 5 games in 7 nights. We sweep that whole week. And what does that mean for the team? This is a tough week for this team. And yes, we didn't face any the marquee level opponents or anything like that. But at the end of the day, the Bulls depleted roster. We face other teams depleted rosters. At the end of the day, you have to beat who was in front of you. And the Bulls played some good games down the stretches of this schedule of this week. To have an undefeated week is nothing to shake your head at, no matter who the competition is. A 7-game winning streak on top of that, on top of the 5 games that we won this week. The Bulls sit firmly now on top as the number 1 team in the East, and we know it's going to fluctuate some more. But really, we can see this, and shout out to a few of the subscribers that were in the live streams for a while ago. They said, like, when we had a stream like a week or so ago, that the Bulls could go on a 10-game winning stretch. And when you look at the games that we have next week, really, we face Orlando. You don't want to sleep on Orlando. We'll get into some of the things next week, so I'm not going to step on that. But the Bulls, And what this streak means for this week has been huge. And it's been great to see as a Bulls fan, us have the week that we do and be able to find some resiliency. Listen, 5 games in 7 nights is nothing to shake your head at. It's not easy at all. And the Bulls could have very well dropped a couple of these games, especially on a back-to-back. And you would have understood if the Bulls lost tonight against the Washington Wizards. Yes, it would have sucked because the Bulls didn't have the legs, they didn't have the energy, and they played sloppy. But at the end of the day, considering the week that they had, you would have kind of understood it. Yes, we're a much better team than the Washington Wizards. We should beat the Washington Wizards. But again, as we know, this is the NBA. Teams lose against lesser competition every single night. So with that being said, like the Bulls being able to pull out, fight some adversity, find ways to win games is nothing to just ignore or overlook. Sweeping a week and in a big week like that in 5 games in 7 nights, we need to give some love to our Chicago Bulls. So go back to the game, and I know I kind of got off of this for a little bit. To go back to the game last night, I know that a lot of the conversation is going to be around Zach LaVine's amazing first half and him coming and down the stretch and coming up big first down the stretch as well. It's going to be about DeMar DeRozan's 3, which is rightfully so. Like I said, history in the making, amazing and all that. But let's not overlook the contributions of Coby White and Nikola Vucevic. Coby White, once again, was one of the most consistent players on this team, right? Zach LaVine had a great first half, started the second half off kind of slow. Coby White consistently and thoroughly throughout the game was very much our most consistent scorer, and he played amazing on defense. We need to stop this narrative that Coby White is not a good defender. People need, and it's so crazy. Like, people do the same thing that like mainstream media, like the ESPN does. They stick this narrative, and then they pick a narrative, and then they just stick to it no matter what other to the contrary points out to that. You guys have to watch these games. Anyone who comes in and wants to say that Coby has not improved as a defender, you actually have to watch what he's doing, his awareness on defense, his ability to knock out loose balls, the steals that he's getting, the blocks that he's getting at some point too, the on-the-ball defense. The on-the-ball defense is probably still the weakest part of his game, and it's probably always going to be. I'm never going to expect Coby White to be a lockdown defender or anything like that, but his awareness off the ball is great. And really, when you look at it, and I've said this and made this comparison before, Coby White's defensive woes are very similar to what Zach LaVine was early in the season. I'm not comparing them as players. I don't think Coby's going to develop into that type of player at all, but I'm just saying that it's very similar, and you can improve on defense. And Coby White is showing an improved focus on defense, and it's evident. And it's going to make him that much better as him having him as a bench player on this team. So I wanted to acknowledge that, and then I also want to acknowledge Nikola Vucevic. Nikola Vucevic, who it came up big for us in the second half, got a block that we wouldn't have won this game without as well. And I want to acknowledge those 2 players. Really, most of our scoring came all but 15 points. Keep in mind, the Bulls scored 120 points in this game. All but 15 of, so 105 points came from Zach, DeMar, Vooch, and Coby White. And that's it. That is it. 6 points off the bench for the night. 9 points from Derrick Jones Jr. all coming in the second half as well. Shout out to him on that. But every other point that was scored was just scored by those 4 players. That is amazing. And that's something that needs to be stated. I know Zach's going to get it because it's Zach LaVine, and rightfully so. He had a big night. DeMar as well for that 3. But we need to acknowledge also that we don't win this game if it's not for Coby playing as consistently as what he did in this game on both sides of the ball, and Nikola Vucevic's contributions in both halves, but specifically in that second half. So I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out as well. Now, going into the week ahead, the Bulls look to get more healthy in the week ahead. We know we're getting Lonzo back. McKinney and Billy Donovan should all come back over the course of next week. I think Billy Donovan is kind of confirmed to come back early in the week. Lonzo and McKinney have gotten out of health and safety protocols. So with the day in between, you do kind of expect them all to be back for Monday's game. If not Monday's game, definitely by Friday's game. But let's hope we get them all back in Monday's game before the long break, just to kind of break them back in or whatever. And the Bulls have a interesting week ahead. Also something that I didn't mention, Tyler Cook did go down with a sprained injury. You guys know I'm a big Tyler Cook fan here, and it sucks to see him go down with a rolled ankle. They haven't come out again to say any timeline or anything. We know with sprained ankles, a sprained ankle could keep you out for a couple of weeks. And it looked like he rolled that ankle pretty good. So let's keep our prayers out for Tyler Cook as well, and just to see what happens with him. But, to get back into this week, the Bulls have the Magic on Monday, the Wizards on Friday, the Wizards again on Friday, and we end the week with the Dallas Mavericks on Sunday. I like that we have space between each one of those games. I like that we don't have back-to-backs. The game against the Magic, don't sleep on the Magic. They can make it pretty tough for us, especially, Wendell Carter is going to be out to probably try to show out against us. But the Bulls, we're better teams than the Magic and the Wizards, handedly. So we should be able to win those games, especially if you look at us getting the players that I mentioned back. Wizards on Friday. Again, you saw what a tough game this is, and don't be surprised if the Wizards come out really trying to show us some things and to get a revenge game back. So again, that's going to be a tough game for the Bulls. The Bulls are going to have to execute much better than they did tonight against the Wizards. But the key thing and the matchup that I'm really, really looking forward to, you guys know I've said it before, I'm a huge Luka Doncic fan, and I hopefully Luka plays. Hopefully doesn't anything happen. Knock on wood that we don't get any other issues or anything like that. But this is going to be, we have three measuring sticks all back to back. Now, the Mavericks in the week, but right after the Mavericks next week, we have Brooklyn coming in town January 12th. And then we follow Brooklyn up with Golden State coming in town January 14th. So we have Dallas, Brooklyn, Golden State, Boston all in a row, right? In separate weeks or whatever. So looking ahead to that, it's going to be an interesting week. But to end this week on the Dallas Mavericks game, this game is going to be a measuring stick game. This game is also, oh no, it's not necessarily, we don't have a nationally televised game until Brooklyn on ESPN, which sucks. But this game against Dallas is a game that I'm really going to be looking to see how the Bulls play, how they execute, how they stand against some of the one of the other upper echelon teams as well, and just seeing Luka. I love seeing Luka Doncic play. But that's the Bulls week coming ahead, and it's going to be a tough week for the Bulls. It's good that we have space and we don't play a lot of games in a condensed schedule again, that we only have 3 games in 7 days rather than 5 in 7 days. But yeah, the Bulls. Look forward to that week. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think the Bulls record is going to be by the end of next week? Let me ask you guys that. What do you think the Bulls record is going to be? And if you think they're going to drop a game, which one? Let me know that. All right. That's it for that. Let's go ahead and get into the mailbag. First, we have a text from the 312. I've been doing a bad job at acknowledging texts like this because it doesn't answer a question, but I do want to acknowledge this. So from the 312, the text just reads, "Ice in his veins, frozen DeRozan." Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, brother. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the voicemail. First voicemail is from Andre. Let's get into that now.
What's up, man? This is Andre. I want to piggyback off of the Coby White situation that you spoke about earlier. So regarding Coby White, he's kind of a polarizing individual in regards to the Chicago Bulls, and I understand why. I think ultimately right now for this season that we keep Coby White for the duration of the season unless we get a trade offer that we can't refuse, because Coby White is a trade asset because he's young and talented. But for right now, in this moment, in the 2022 season, I think it's best that you keep him because now this is the first time that Coby White has been in the position to play a role that suits his skill set. He's played well in the last couple games. He played well against Atlanta in the second game where he had 17 points, 12 assists. He shot the ball well against the Pacers. So we've seen moments of excellence with Coby White, but we've also seen situations where he hasn't played well, hasn't showed great basketball IQ, but ultimately I think he's in a position where he can now be effective and play a role that suits his skill set. Even when Lonzo Ball comes back and Caruso comes back, he can play a role where he's a sixth man. And I think that's the most important thing to realize with Coby, that he's in a role that suits his skill set. After this season, then we can talk about possibly seeing what we can get for Coby, because ultimately we can't keep him for what he's going to be worth in a couple of years, because you're going to have Levine with a big contract coming up for possibly a supermax, because he's going to probably make All-NBA this year. You just signed DeRozan to a 3-year, $85 million. You just signed Caruso. You signed Lonzo Ball. So you're not going to be able to keep Coby White at the price he's going to be worth when his rookie contract is up. So we keep Coby White now, and then in the offseason, we look to see what we can get for him in terms of trade value for other assets. That's all I want to say. Go Bulls, Bulls Nation.
All right, so Andre comes with an interesting perspective here. Definitely, he's saying keep Coby White, trade him later down the road, and then asking about Kobe's long-term effect on his contract. And this is what I want to say. And, first, let me say this. Shout out to you for, other than just, saying, oh, we just need to trade Coby for a big man, actually thinking of and presenting solid reasons on why you think the Bulls should look to trade Coby. Now, what I will say for this, and this is again, let me validate the contract concerns, and especially with the team that doesn't like to go into the luxury tax, all very valid. We already know it's very valid. But looking at this roster, right? Coby has one more year on his roster, on his contract after this. Vooch also has one more year on his contract after this. Now we know Zach LaVine's contract is coming, and that's going to be a huge extension. But the thing with that being said is that with Vooch's contract coming off, and not saying that we're going to get rid of Vooch, even if we re-sign Vooch, it may be to quite a lesser deal. At that point, Vooch would be a going on 33-year-old center, and so we could very well sign him for considerably less than his contract. Now, at the same time, Coby White. Now, if Coby White keeps playing like this, right, absolutely you expect him to get offers. It depends on what the Bulls can offer him with that. But I would say that as far as the contract concerns for Coby White long term, I think that the team can, especially if the Bulls are a contender like we think they can, if the Bulls are contending for a championship, let's say the Bulls, God forbid, again, knock on wood, let's say the Bulls do make a long run and they make a run to the Eastern Conference Finals. They don't quite make the finals, but you see that what's there. I very well do expect this front office to if they're putting their money where their mouth is, and it's always been they don't want to pay luxury tax for not a title contender. At that point, what the Bulls would be, you have to consider the fact that the Bulls are a legit title contender. So you want to be able to hold on to your players. So with that being said, the Bulls have the mid-level exception next season anyway, and they'll have the mid-level exception again. You would think that the Bulls, if they become a financial destination, that they'll use that to go into the luxury tax, and then you can keep a player like Coby White. We also need to keep in mind, right? You don't want to do what some teams like the Lakers do, in which you're so focused on contending now that you forget you can contend and develop players and keep younger players around. So Coby White being a younger player, and in the voicemail you mentioned Alex Caruso, Lonzo Ball. Again, Alex Caruso's deal is 3 years, right? So again, there's some overlap there. There's a world, absolutely, especially because again, Ayo, that he could demand a lot more money than Coby on the open market. They'll actually be free agents at the same time. So with that being said, I wouldn't automatically say that the Bulls, that financially they can't keep Coby White. It depends on how a few things go. Now, again, there is validity in what you're saying. I'm not saying there's not, but I want to be clear here that if the Rhinestones, as they said, they're willing to pay luxury tax for a title contender, you want to keep younger players. You want to keep that because as your older players decline, at that point, like I said, we'll have a going on 33-year-old center. We'll have DeMar DeRozan, who's aging, and again, we know his game is at its peak. It probably will age very well. But with all those things mentioned, if Coby White is giving you 15 points off the bench consistently in this brand of defense that he's been playing, that's a player that you do, as long as you can add other players with the exception, that you do go in the luxury tax to keep. So I think I understand your concern there, and like I said, it is valid. But let's be clear here: the Bulls have matching capability. Let's also be clear. Let's see Coby do this and keep up this level of contribution for a whole season, right, or for at least the rest of the season before we start thinking about if we're going to price ourselves out of Coby White or not. Like I said, definitely, it's several worlds in which we can keep Coby White. There's several worlds in which we should keep Coby White as well. Because you only get one mid-level exception, and if the Bulls are going to be trying to add some front court depth with that, then you do want to keep your bench score there. So we'll be able to see. Let me know what you guys think down below on Coby's long-time contract potential. And again, it could very well be that another team sees Coby White's potential and says, no, this is a player that we absolutely want, and we do get priced out of it. A lot of things to go there. We'll evaluate that more towards the end of next season than this season. But again, I don't think they trade Coby White. I don't think they trade Coby White in this offseason. If anything, again, if a great deal presents itself, but I think sometimes we forget too that the Bulls aren't looking necessarily for a starter level at the 4. They think they have that in Patrick Williams. So, that's my thoughts on that one. Let's get into the next voicemail.
What's up, brother? Shalom. First of all, I want to give you an apology in the Bulls Nation. I was really upset with all these trades they was trying to do concerning Coby White, also Derrick Jones Jr. putting down Vooch and wasn't giving the Bulls time. We hadn't even played a good 17 games to 20 games, and we was already throwing them in the fire. I'm so glad the Bulls decided to give other players playing time like Tyler Cook and giving Vooch time to get himself together. And we fail to realize Coby White has just come off of surgery. He didn't have no preseason. So I just want to apologize. Go Bulls. Don't give up. We don't need to trade nobody. We don't need nobody. We doing good. Don't fix nothing that's not broke. So with that, peace and love. What you think?
This kind of goes into my last point. Do the Bulls need to make a move at all? Our move that we may make may very well be just getting Patrick Williams back. Now, if that's not it, and I'm really, the more and more, the longer the things go, I really do think that our move is going to be more on the buyout market and waiting to see what we get to that. And if somebody doesn't come out on the buyout market, that the Bulls may very well run with what they have. Again, I understand this whole mindset of why fans want us. Like, this is the best season and the closest we've been to contending 4 years. So I understand that mindset. But again, keep in mind, a lot of improvements happened in the offseason as well. The Bulls weren't even expected to be this much of a contender, but I understand it for sure. Well, it remains to be seen. We'll see. But do they need to make, I think the more the Bulls go on, either way, the need word, right? Again, words mean things to me. I get caught up in stuff, admittedly. Sometimes it's one of my faults. I don't think the Bulls need to make a move, period. They don't need to do anything. Now, should they? Absolutely, especially when you look up giving up 72 points in the paint against a team like the Washington Wizards. Now, again, it was a down game overall. We were missing a lot of our better defenders with Javonte Green, Caruso, and Lonzo all being out. But at the end of the day, with all that being said, I do think that we don't necessarily need to make a move, but I do trust this front office enough. And that's what it all boils down to, is that you have to trust our front office. If we're saying that we have such an improved front office and how good it feels to have the front office that we do, got to trust the moves that they make. So that's my opinion on that one. Let's get into the last voicemail of the day from 8 Lives. Let's get into that now.
Man, what's up, my boy Haize? This your boy 8 Lives. My boy Coby showed out again. Even though I shouldn't be saying it like that, because like I said last time, I'm not surprised. His defense is on point. One thing I forgot to say about the game yesterday against Indiana, my best play, hearing Adam Levine, or whatever his name is, the announcer say, Coby White is on the ground, but he gets the ball. Coby dove for that ball and threw that boy straight to Demar yesterday. Today, Coby was on his business on the defense, bro. Stop saying trade Coby. We gonna get another power forward. We need him. And I know you know, and I know you're probably tired of me, but I cannot do this because I've been waiting on this boy to come back this year and give me another one of them dunks like he had last year over Stanley Johnson. And he did it. He dunked on LeBron, basically. Coby going crazy. The Bulls, Demar DeRozan is sick. I have never in my life seen somebody hit 2 buzzer beaters back-to-back in the games. Come on, bro. That's MVP status all day. You were correct, too. What's that boy named Tyler Cook? He decent. I hate he rolled his ankle tonight, but he looking like he going to take some playing time from that boy if he not injured. Man, I'm going to go and get up out of here, bro. Bulls fan, we are lit. 8 Lives signing out. Hey, man, look, man, I'm going to hit you back in a minute, man. I got to watch this shot about 50 more times, man. The Bulls, we lit. First place. Hey, you the man.
8 Lives, listen, your energy for Coby White, I fucking love, bro. I love it. But yeah, I mean, there's not much to add to that. You said it all there. So yeah, shout out to you on that one. As far as Tyler Cook, listen here. I really do believe in the long-term potential of Tyler Cook. And yes, it's been games against teams that were also depleted and everything, but it's looking at the skill set. It's looking at what he could offer, right? Yes, and keep in mind, bench player, so it's not like we're throwing him out there to start, but I do like Tyler Cook's energy, and I think Tyler Cook can very well develop into one of those players that this is what I'm saying. This is a great comparison. He doesn't have quite the energy of an Haize Johnson, right? But he has more skill than Haize Johnson. So just like we were excited about the energy levels of Haize, I'm equally as excited for that for Tyler Cook. And you saw it, like, unfortunately he got hurt in this game, but for people who've watched, you've seen Tyler Cook progress each game that he's played and gotten more minutes. And you see him just continually develop. And that's the key thing of why I want to see Tyler Cook on this team, is that more NBA reps against actual NBA competition. I'm just really excited to see how this dude continues to develop. Now, it could be that at some point he hits a limit and he doesn't develop quite to the way that I think he may, and that's fine. But at this point, I do think you need to take a look at Tyler Cook. That boy he's showing a lot. He's showing a lot. Let me know what you guys think down below about Tyler Cook and his overall progression on this team and his potential long-term on this team as well. Again, small sample size, but let me know what you guys think about that down below. But otherwise, that's it for me today. If anything comes out about Tyler Cook's injury or anything else, of course, you guys know I'll be dropping breaking news videos. That's not an issue for me. But otherwise, that's it for my episode today on Chicago Bulls Central, man. Like I like to end see, I'm trying to get better at the plugs. Make sure you follow us at Bulls Central Pod. Make sure you send us any email, feedback, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. If you want to leave us a voicemail, you can do so at 773-270-2799. That's the text and voicemail line. Other than that, like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. I love you guys. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.